Good morning, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, member of the press, representative from the Bangkok Art Biennale and the Eastern Foundation. It's a true honor to be here. As the chairman of the National Soft Power Development Committee, I'm pleased to join this important symposium, part of the Bangkok Art Biennale impressive 4.5-month program. My warmest congratulations on Bangkok Art Biennale's remarkable success. Over 1 million visitors since October 2024 speaks volume about its impact. From the government's perspective, Bangkok Art Biennale perfectly represents the soft power policy, connecting local, regional, and world-class art with Bangkok and fostering creative destinations that extend beyond tourism to increase art education and art ecosystem. So congratulations to Bangkok Art Biennale organizers in making Bangkok a world-class destination. Today's symposium on public art by world-renowned French-American artist Louise Bourgeois is an important step to revive the sculpture garden created after the tragic tsunami in 2004. The two bronze sculptures titled Hold Me Close, donated by the artist, were part of the tsunami memorial at Noparatala National Park as remembrance of the tragic event when many lives were lost in the disaster. This public art project demonstrates how art transcends its original purpose, conveying emotion, facilitating healing, and representing a community. With lack of budget and maintenance, the sculptures were removed and placed in safety at the office of the governor of Krabi for many years. The purpose of seminar today is to raise awareness of the importance of Louise Bourgeois' sculpture garden as a memorial site and important public art in Southeast Asia. This gathering marks the beginning of a collaborative effort both from the government and the private sectors to revitalize Louise Bourgeois Memorial Garden. The National Soft Power Development Committee, the Eastern Foundation, the French and American embassies, and Bangkok Art Biennale Foundation are committed to revitalize the project to display original sculpture Hold Me Close by Louise Bourgeois at Noparatala National Park. Our goal is to reopen the memorial site on the 21st anniversary of the tsunami this coming 26 December 2025. This endeavor will need support from many sectors in allotting budget from the government and various sectors. The reconstruction of the site and display of Louise Bourgeois' sculpture will need enormous care and security. So execution plan will have to be made by responsible sectors to make this memorial site sustainable and long-lasting as part of Krabi spectacular landmark. So I hope today lectures provides valuable insight into this project. And I look forward to explore possibility for revitalizing the memorial and making the fantastic sculpture by Louise Bourgeois accessible to the public once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Surapong, for your inspiring words and insightful address. We deeply appreciate your presence and support for this important event. Now, it is my honor to invite His Excellency Jean-Claude Piombeuf, Ambassador of France to Thailand, to share his opening remarks. Please join me in welcoming His Excellency.
Dr. Surapong Swebongli, Chairman of the National Soft Power Development Committee, Dr. Apinan Poshananda, Chief Executive and Artistic Director, Bangkok Art Biennale, Mr. Jerry Gorovoy and Mr. Philip Larratt-Smith from the Eastern Foundation, dear Robert Godek, U.S. Ambassador to Thailand, dear Kun Paul, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to speak at today's symposium. And I would like to add my congratulations to Dr. Apinan and his team for a very successful Bangkok Biennale 2024. Having visited a number of venues since it started, some of them with Dr. Apinan, I must say that I have been impressed by the ambition, the quality, and the diversity of the art selection. And as French ambassador to Thailand, I'm also pleased, of course, to see that several prominent French artists' work are featured in the program. Among them, French-American artist Louise Bourgeois, whose work can be seen right here at the Bangkok Art and Culture Center, but also, interestingly, at Wat Po, and even at the Khao Yai Art Forest, where Bourgeois' spectacular sculpture, Maman, Mother, is presented until May in a wonderful natural setting. Some of us were there a few days ago. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today to discuss about other works that Louise Bourgeois intended for a beautiful natural spot, but a spot that was tragically hit by the tsunami on the 26th of December 2004. Deeply moved by the disaster and the huge loss of life, Bourgeois donated Hold Me Close as a tribute to the victims to be placed on a natural site in the Hatnopara Tara National Park. As mentioned just now by Dr. Surapong, for a number of reasons, the sculptures had to be removed from their original site, and the general public has not been able to see them for over 14 years. We had discussed last year with Dr. Apinan the possibility of having them back as we were about to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the tsunami. We missed that symbolic milestone, but we are still ready to join forces with all stakeholders. First of all, the Thai central and local authorities, the Eastern Foundation, dedicated to preserving Louise Bourgeois' legacy, and possibly other partners in order to reinstall the sculptures before the 21st anniversary of the tsunami on the 26th of December 2025. This initiative aims at giving a new life to two iconic works, the only ones by Louise Bourgeois that would be permanently displayed in Southeast Asia. On a bilateral basis, it would also be very timely since Thailand and France celebrate in 2025 the 340th anniversary of the first French diplomatic mission sent by Louis XIV to the Kingdom of Siam, and will commemorate next year the 170th anniversary of the establishment of their diplomatic relations. However, for this ambitious project to come to fruition within a limited time frame, a number of partners from the public and private sectors need to be involved, as mentioned earlier by Dr. Surapong. We will need to think outside the box, maybe, to use our imagination and to live up to the power of Louise Bourgeois' work. We have a unique opportunity to recreate a memorial space that will both honor the departed, provide a place of remembrance, and become a must-see site for international visitors while stimulating the local economy. The power of art, its role in healing and resilience, takes on its full meaning here. In closing, I would like to thank Dr. Surapong, Dr. Apinan, and the Eastern Foundation for their involvement in this great project. Let's continue to work together and with others who share the same goal. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, His Excellency, for your inspiring and thoughtful remarks. We're truly grateful for your presence today and the support that you continue to show for this event and the cultural exchange between Thailand and France. Now, we will begin our first panel discussions entitled Revitalizing Tsunami Memorial by Louise, Bourgeois, and Krabi. The sessions will delve into the fascinating histories and the future of the iconic sculptures by the renowned artist Louise Bourgeois, created as a memorial for the victims of the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. The sculpture was initially installed at the memorial of Noparaptara Beach, Ao Nang in Krabi province, before being loaned for exhibitions at major art events such as Dreaming of Peace exhibition here at the Bangkok Art and Culture Centers in 2010, and the Thailand Biennale Korat in Nakhon Ratchasima in 2021. Currently, the work is stored under the care of the Krabi province, and the panelists today will discuss the past, present, and the future of reviving the sculptures and memorial to bring it back to life. Joining us, please welcome Jerry Goravoy, President of the Eastern Foundation, Philip Lauret Smith, Curator at the Eastern Foundation, Gulapat Yantrasad, Architect and Founder of Wine Architecture, and Dr. Apinan Posayanon, Artistic Director of Bangkok Art Biennale. The sessions will be moderated by Lakhana Kunawichianon, Curator and Executive Board Member of Bangkok Art and Culture Centers. The sessions will be in English. Headsets for translations is available, and the sessions will also be recorded and photographed for publicity purposes.
Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished guests, members of the press, and all participants. Welcome and thank you for joining us this morning for BAB Symposium as part of the Bangkok Art Biennale 2024. My name is Lakhana Kunawichianon, and I'm very honored to be moderating this session this morning. As briefly introduced by Dr. Surapong Sivongli and His Excellency, the French Ambassador, on the history of the project and its absence from public viewings for almost 14 years, we are here today to discuss the ongoing efforts to restore Louise Bourgeois' Hold Me Close sculpture at the Tsunami Memorial in Krabi. This panel will give us a valuable opportunity to hear directly from key individuals instrumental in the significant Revitalizing project that we are going to envision from now. So, as I mentioned, that we have a very important figures that has been involving in this project since the beginning here with us on stage. Let me introduce again our speakers today. From my far right is Mr. Jerry Goravoy, President of the Eastern Foundation, who has been working closely with the artist Louise Bourgeois for, I would say, almost 30 to 40 years, and has been really essential in the making of this sculpture piece, Hold Me Close. I'm sure that Mr. Jerry will have a lot to share with us on the genesis and insightful observation about the project, and also in the new phase of the reconstructing of the memorial. And next to Mr. Jerry is Mr. Philip Lauret Smith, Chief Curator of the Eastern Foundation, who will later share with us the plan of the revitalization and also the past work of the artist that has been related to the project. And I'm sure that everyone knows this person here, Professor Dr. Apinan Bosayanon, Artistic Director of Bangkok Art Biennale, who has been instrumental in the initiative of the project since the last 20 years when Ajahn Apinan was still working at the Ministry of Culture, and also initiating this project, not only the sculpture of Louise Bourgeois, but also in the invitation to different other artists that take part in the memorial, the Tsunami Memorial, in the Andaman Sea coastal province in the south. And last but not least, we have Mr. Gulapat Yantasad, founding partner and creative director of Y Architects, who is invited to be designing the projects in the next phase of the revitalization. So I would like to invite Mr. Jerry to start the discussion by sharing your insightful observation and also, the genesis and the legacy of Louise Bourgeois. Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming here. Thank you all for coming here this morning. Louise liked to work alone in the studio. It's a very private kind of action that she takes. But when she does a public sculpture, it really is a collaboration. And I want to thank all of you here, past and present, that are really taking an interest in this work that meant a lot to Louise. As I say, Louise's work, Louise is developing her own trajectory. The works follow one another in a chronological order. Various variations of one theme leads to another theme. But the real world also comes into the work. And I think she was quite affected by the tsunami. And it was the way that she interpreted the tsunami, which had to touch upon her own fears of abandonment, which she had a lifelong fear. She had a fear her father was in the World War I, her uncle died in the World War I, her mother had the Spanish flu, and she nursed her mother till she died in 1932. So there was this lifelong fear of being separated, being abandoned, that connected to the incident of what happened here during the tsunami. And so she had been working on a series of hand poses. Louise has worked on the body, in different aspects of the body, torsos, heads, feet, arms, but this was a particular thing, and a hand pose had to do with the relationship of one person to another. So in 2005, through a friend, Paulo Herkenhoff, who was a Brazilian curator working at MoMA at the time, had introduced Apinan to Louise. And on that visit, they were just talking about, I wasn't there the whole time, but they were talking, and Louise somehow brought up the tsunami thing, and she said she'd like to do something. She would like to donate something. So that was really the genesis, was really this conversation with Dr. Apinan that started the whole project. And then that was, I think, in December or something. And then in March, Apinan wrote and said, are you still interested in doing something to memorialize the incident? And Louise said yes. And that began this project. And Louise did not travel, so she never visited the site. I, her assistant for 30 years, never had seen the site until 2 days ago. But Apinan worked, and we brought in an architect. As I said, it's a collaborative process. Many people came in to get this thing realized. And I think it is, as noted before, it's the only commission Louise has in Asia. I mean, Louise has exhibitions all over the world, but and she is starting to show more in Asia now, but this would be the only commission in a public situation. And I think it's important, the foundation, and now I'm head of the foundation, is to preserve her legacy. So to restore this is a really important mission of the foundation, because I think it's a beautiful piece. I think it's a very contemplative piece, and I think it has an emotional resonance that will commemorate this particular tragedy, but also go beyond that. And I think it's important for the future that people don't forget what happened. History is important in a way, and I think that we have an opportunity to restore this and make it even better with Kulapat's input to preserve it for the future and make it accessible. I think I just wanted to enclose, there was one thing Louise said, and I don't know, I just wanted to read it very quickly because I think it shows you the way that she works. Okay. Hold on, I'm sorry, where is it? Okay, I'm just reading, Louise. I should get my glasses so I don't close it. This gives you a deep insight into the way that Louise thinks, okay? This tragedy reminds us of how fragile our lives are and how little we can do except to hold on to each other. These hands say, I will not let you go, but do not abandon me. Keep your grip. Hold me close forever and ever. And I think that really says it all very beautifully. And I think the sculptures convey that. And I think all of us working together could restore this beautiful work. Thank you again.
Thank you, Jerry. Yes. And you have the chance to went down to Krabi recently, just the other day,
2
right?
days ago, yes.
Yes. So have you envisioned this picture earlier? What is your thoughts and concern about this revitalization of the project?
Well, being the first time I had seen the site, I had seen, the sculpture, the realization of the sculpture, but I didn't really get the whole context of the site. So it was very helpful to be there to see it. I think one of the key things is how we alter the site to make the experience better for the viewer and how to protect the sculpture and what we need to do to gather a group of people around, in terms of guards or some sort of other protective things so that the thing is preserved for the future. I mean, it's made out of bronze, so it's not that fragile, but on the other hand, I still think it needs to be sort of reconceived and to come up, hopefully with Kulapat's collaboration, to make the experience better than perhaps. There are things we can improve now that we see it and working together.
Yes. I'm sure that everybody is really waiting to see the revitalization of the work because it's such a beautiful sculptures. What would you say if the artist would be able to be here now? What would she wants to see of the projects?
Well, I think she wants, as I said, Louise, when she dealt in the public sculpture, she dealt with it in a different way than her normal production in a way. But I think Louise, one thing about Louise, and I've worked for her for 30 years, so I know she's very practical. She wants things to function. She wants things to last. The permanency of something is very important to her. It's one of the reasons why she works. She wants the sculptures to last. And so I think these practical things have to be taken into account, still preserving the aesthetics of the piece, but she's very practical. So I think she would be very open to a lot of changes or a lot of things that are required, because in the end, it is about keeping it for the future.
Right, so it's the flexible things that really depends on also the context of the place, right?
I think so. I think it's is to make people want to go there and have an experience when they are moved. So they think about what happened, and they think about their own lives and their own relationship to the people that they love or the people around them. And so I think we want to make the experience of visiting this sculptural installation to be something magical and something that they won't forget.
Yes, okay, thank you, Jerry, and we look forward to see this beautiful piece that will be open for the public again in the very near future, in December 26, if that is what we can hope for. Right? Yes. Okay, so let's move on to Mr. Philip at Chief Curator of the Eastern Foundation. I'm sure that you have been very accustomed to and working a lot with the works of Louise Bourgeois. And you have today some presentation that you will share with us about this plan for the revitalization and some of the works that are related to the concept of the works. Please, yes.
Yes, thank you all very much for coming. I thought it could be interesting to start off by talking about how this commission, this work by Louise, Hold Me Close, fits within the larger context of Louise's work from the last 20 years. And this is, as Jerry pointed out, absolutely unique. It is a work that, it's the only commission of its kind in East Asia, not just Southeast Asia. And at the same time, of course, it's Louise's symbolic language, and it shows all the hallmarks of her work. And one of the defining oppositions of Louise's work is that between the human figure and architecture. And so when Louise conceived of this piece, she thought of it not just as sculpture presented in a certain way with like a kind of surrounding form, but within an architecture to provide a context and a container for these works. So in this sense, it relates to a body of work that Louise began developing in the 1990s called the cells. The cells were architectural enclosures that Louise created in order to display works that she had made and works that she had found, taken from her life. And these complex symbolic orchestrations are really one of her major bodies of work in the last 20 years. So here we see a work that called Glass Spheres and Hands. And the ones that I've selected all include hand poses, because as Jerry mentioned, the hand pose was a motif that Louise developed, and it was really addressed to Louise's long-standing fear of abandonment and the desire for human connection, the importance of relationships. The hand pose is a classical motif, but Louise has always inflected it with a kind of personal and even a pathological dimension. So the hand poses are cast from her hands and from Jerry's hands. And we often see that they're, the larger male hands, Jerry's hands, are enclosing those of Louise. And so this reflects the fact that Louise saw Jerry as her protector, as her bridge to the outside world. It's a portrait in a series of vignettes and episodes of their relationship over time. This is an image from another cell where a hand pose, this time carved in marble, is set against a collection of Shalimar perfume, which was Louise's favorite scent. And Shalimar was something that she wore throughout her life. This takes her back to her early childhood. Here again is another cell called You Better Grow Up. Louise believed in the reality principle, and she felt that you have to face reality. You have to deal with the world as it is, not as the way you would like it to be. And yet this is set with the tender hand pose in marble. This is a piece called The Welcoming Hands, which now lives in the Tuileries in Paris. It's a permanent installation, although it was recently shown to great advantage at the Galleria Borghese as part of a show last summer called Unconscious Memories. This is a series of 6 hand poses that are slightly oversized, so they're not life-size, they're slightly larger. And here Louise wanted to impart a monumentality to the connection with Jerry and to the relationship that these hand poses symbolize. This is the rear garden in the Galleria Borghese. Another of the defining features of the memorial project is the use of water, which Louise began exploring in the late 1990s. And here is a piece called Fountain. The water spills from the top and runs in a figure 8 around this eccentric sculpture all the way to the bottom. And this for Louise was a symbol of the passing of time. Here's another variation on this fountain motif contained within a cell that she dedicated to the British artist Turner. And the angled mirrors give back different views on this central event. Another lesser-known commission that she made in 2005, this is 2 fountains with a father and a son. And when the jets are on an inverse proportion, so when the father is completely concealed by water, the son is visible, and vice versa. So this speaks to a long-standing preoccupation of Louise, the fundamental importance of relationships, but also the risk of misunderstanding, misrecognition, miscommunication. And lastly, here's an image of two couples. This is a work that was recently installed at the Art Gallery of New South Wales. It's a small fabric couple, and the female figure is standing on the feet of the male figure. A very delicate piece. Here, on a totally different scale, is a more monumental version of the couple motif, and the male and female figures are encased in spirals that conceal their identity. Now, these are images that are taken of the monument as it was originally presented in Krabi. You see this, Louise wanted to have an architecture that referenced Thai vernacular architecture. It was important for her that it answered to the specific context of Thailand. And here you see these close-ups of the hand pose. You see Jerry's hands over Louise's hands. As I mentioned, this is a gesture of security and repose, protection for Louise, but the hands are also raised almost as if they're in prayer. And so this form, it suggests supplication of people who are calling out in their moment of need. And it's mounted on a rough abstract base. And the use of gold leaf is unique for Louise. She never, in any other works, used gold leaf as a patina for her sculpture. And here you see the water element. And it was important for Louise that when people come to experience the piece, there's an approach. It's not something that you experience as a single moment in time, but there's an approach. There's the encounter with the hand pose inside the architecture, and the pond itself is meant to be like a reflection. Louise once had a saying that I like very much. She said, "Be a mirror to me, and I will be a mirror to you." Water not only suggests the passage of time, but also the possibility of transparency, of mutual understanding, of knowing yourself through the relationship to the other person, which she thought was fundamental. And you'll see also that there's another hand pose here, but it's a single child's hand mounted on a rock-like bronze formation. And this, I think, is an image of isolation and of loss. And it's quite powerful for Louise that the child is reaching out in this moment. And as Jerry mentioned, Louise had seen footage of the tsunami disaster on television. She was very moved, disturbed, and horrified by what she saw. And motivated by these great feelings of sympathy, she wanted to do something that for Louise unusually was sort of more directly addressing this tragedy. That, I think, is why she chose to work with an architecture that had local references and with the use of gold patina. So, thank you.
Thank you, Philip. That is really wonderful. It's really giving us more understanding about how the work has been developed by revisiting the past work that she has been done, especially those gestures that involving hands and other part of the body. I myself would say, I'm a bit surprised when you mentioned that, she has never been using gold patina before. And also, my personal observation is the gesture of the hand is, in a way, resonate our Eastern practice in doing the why and, paying respect. I don't know whether that has anything to do with that or, she could probably conceive some ideas about this practice or Eastern philosophy or...
Well, Louise was not, she was raised in France of the 1910s and 20s in a fairly secular household, so Catholicism was part of the backdrop of her education, Catholic language and iconography. Of course, she studied art history, but she herself was not a believer. And yet she would often have recourse to imagery of prayer, or even in her writings, often she would mention religious phrases as a way of explaining herself. So it was sort of part of her larger cultural arsenal, I would say. And well, I don't think she was direct. The one time she used a hand pose that was similar to this was in a work she made called Confessional, and a sister work which is installed permanently in Bourgeois in the south of France, which is called L'Église. A very different piece, but it's, again, I think within a context where prayer or prayerful gestures feel appropriate, and also, as you said, as a kind of salutation or gesture of respect for what has been lost.
Right, okay. And also you mentioned about when the artist works, she's just not, specifically work on the work like kind of concerned about the work itself, but also the environment that the work has been set on. In regards of what's really happening now that the old structure has already been deteriorated, so you need to construct the new structure for this resurrection of the work.
Exactly.
As a curator, what is you're really concerned, or is there any kind of like more specific requirement for the new kind of design to fit in with homey clothes?
Again, I think the idea of an approach so that there's something that shapes the experience as you draw near to the sculptural elements. And to say, again, to be clear, Louise saw this as a total environment, a total piece. So the architecture isn't something that presents the work, it is the work. It is the, part and parcel of the entire thing. And so hopefully by working with Kulapat, we will develop a language that feels appropriate to this site while keeping in mind the original intention. And I think it should be, Louise wanted this to be a place of contemplation, a place of repose. It was meant to be something where you step a little bit outside of time and you enter into your own time or the time of the work in a sense. And so I think it should have, again, in keeping with that prayer form, it should almost be like stepping into a sacred space on one level.
Right, okay. Thank you. We'll come back to you in the next round if we have more comments from this. So let's move to Ajahn Apinan, who has been very crucial in the making of these sculptures and also the memorial project in the south, especially in Krabi. I'm sure that Ajahn Apinan has a lot to share with us on the initiative of the projects and also this long journey that has been, through so many challenges. And of course, what is your vision for the future of the projects? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jerry and Philip, for the presentation. And I think I can fill in some bits and pieces, but I think it's essential to go back in time. 26th of December 2004. I recall that was during the time when Dr. Thaksin's project about OTOP was happening at Muang Thong Thani. There was a big event and it was very successful in terms of people very interested in the idea of OTOP. And I was working at the Ministry of Culture at the time. And we had to present some artworks and art market in Impact Muang Thong Thani. And then suddenly, on the day of 26 December, there was this disastrous news that tsunami has hit. This is on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. And so many people, not just in Krabi, but Andaman Seas, in Phang Nga, in Phuket, and tsunami actually wiped, I think more than 2,000 lives were lost. And then it went on to the Indian Ocean as well. So that was an amazing shock. But the government at the time moved very fast. And credit must be given to Dr. Thaksin's government in terms of moving fast to help the victims. And this was a disastrous moment, and we had to do something in terms of healing. We were given the project that within 1 year after the tsunami, we have to do projects to do art as a kind of healing process through the 3 provinces that were hard hit by tsunami. And such projects became that we had to do artworks at various places, and Patong in Phuket was one of the places, and we called 1 year of anniversary of tsunami. And Patong, you go to Patong now, you don't have space to stand or sit because there's so many umbrellas and people sunbathing. But at Patong at that time, beautiful, totally clean, and we used this as the art space to show the artworks, and so many artists contributed, not just Thai artists, but world-renowned artists, such as Marina Abramovich. She came and she actually performed this piece called sea punishing. You know, Marina went into the ocean and she had more than 200 volunteers, and they used whips. They were whipping the ocean, and she performed. And that became a kind of response to the sea. And she used this Greek mythology where you know, the sea became angry and the sea had to be punished. So we had many projects, performance, video. Yoshitomo Nara, at the time, emerging Japanese artist. We had the project of the dog in Bangkok. But Nara said because of the disaster, he wanted to give this dog to Phuket. Because he also said, okay, a lot of human beings were killed, but what about animals? Animals also suffered. So this dog actually stood in Patong for almost 2 years. And because it was like fiberglass, it got destroyed in the end. You can imagine how it got destroyed. People were jumping up and down on this piece. This is another shot of this Phuket dog. But also Che Chung Kwa, the very famous South Korean artist whose work is now showing at this present Bangkok Art Biennale. At the front of BACC, you can see this giant lotus, pink lotus, not white lotus, pink lotus, flapping, you know, in front of BACC. But Che Chung Kwa chose to make black lotus as a memorial piece, as a mourning piece. And this also showed in Patong Beach. I just want to fill in the information that the project of the government was ongoing for many projects to use art as a curing or healing process. But also, they wanted to have permanent works. So the Thaksin government actually, you know, given budget, I think about 14-15 million baht for the committee to choose permanent art projects in Phuket, in Phang Nga, and in Krabi. And some of the advisors consisted of Paulo Herkenhoff, David Elliott, and specialists from Thailand also. This is an example of the permanent work commissioned for the Phuket. This is in Gamala Beach. It's still standing there. It's by the Thai artist called Udon Jiraksa, and he created this piece. And he used the height of this metallic work. It's the height of the tsunami that hit this spot. See how high it is. And he just want to show that the artworks can actually be remembrance, be commemoration, and this is something that we want to, you know, remember and revive. This photo, I've lost a lot of weight, by the way. This photo was taken by Jerry in March 2005. I was in New York and kindly arranged by Paulo Herkenhoff. And I was waiting outside Louise' studio, in fact, shivering, you know, because I know that she can be, you know, very forceful and very straightforward. But the project of the Tsunami Memorial was not realized yet. It's just in my mind. But Paulo Herkenhoff kindly arranged for me to meet this amazing artist. And I recall that Jerry opened the door and I went in and he just left me with her for about a couple of hours. But anyway, this event, by the way, this slide has never been shown in public before. This is the first time after all those years. I just want to remind us here that that moment, you know, it moved me so much to be with this great artist, to listen to her. And during the conversation, you know, this idea Tsunami came up because Louise actually said, yeah, you're from Thailand, right? And I saw this event on TV. You know, so she She recalled this event, and that was something that I think stuck to her. And when I returned to Bangkok, I did not realize that she would decide to do something phenomenal, amazing like this. And that was the beginning of this project, where when she said yes, we moved. And luckily, we got this budget that the government has assigned us. So we moved fast. So it's going to be in 1 year, like right now, right? We're going to have to revive this in 1 year. We had 1 year to try to make it happen during that time. So the outcome, in fact, it was inaugurated in 2007, a little bit late, but because the process was enormous, I can tell you. The process, you don't have to, just imagine, you have to work with the space, the sketch, the architect, we have to work with the Department of Fine Arts as well. As well as that, we have to work through the Ministry of Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Culture, the local government. So the process is like very multi-policy in terms of trying to make this public art realize. But it happened. It actually happened because I think the artwork, when it was installed, moved so much, moved emotionally so much. The people who came, people cried, people went, like want to touch, want to caress, and it went beyond. It went beyond just a public sculpture. It even went beyond memorial, and we just felt that it's amazing, but so sad that the deterioration of the materials resulted in what we already know now, that it had to be put in the safe place for 14 years. 14 years, and there were people wanting to have to happen, to come back, to revive it, but no, nothing happened. But this is the time. This is the time. And this is the time I want to show this. This is the moment that last year, late December, a few days before the 20th anniversary of Tsunami, His Excellency made appointment to meet Dr. Surapong, and we went to have this meeting. This should be called a historical meeting at Ban Pisanulok, because the conversation resulted in what we are doing now. I think one thing led to the other, and I think we have to thank Dr. Surapong and His Excellency that this moment of project making started on that day. And from that day to last Monday. Last Monday, we went, Jerry, Philip, Gulapat, and our team, as well as Astrid, representative of the French embassy, the embassy of France, went to meet with the governor at Krabi. And this governor kindly became very open, very receptive in terms of the project. And we mentioned that Dr. Surapong is moving on, making the task force, and he was very kind to us and very, very cooperative. But imagine, he would be the one after, I think, 8 or 9 governors already, he would be the one who's going to make history. And we opened the safe, like, it was like, opening, yeah, dig in the safe, And it was like very emotional for many of us. For Jerry, he hasn't seen this piece for so many years, and to see his own hands after so many years. And we took this photo together. I think this photo will be published many, many times. And here we are. Jerry is doing, so both hands are clasping. It could be in the position of Y, but it could be in the position of temple. It could be in position of pyramid. It could be in position of protection, like protection. So in this way, it could mean so many things, but it has to be in the milieu, in the environment intended by Louise. So just these two pieces to be shown in a museum, in a place, no, not work. It has to be in the place where the artist intended to be. Okay. After the meeting with the governor, we went to see the site, which miraculously still exists, even though, the archaeological dig, we went to find the dome with difficulty, So in this semi-jungle, we were there to record this. And I'm so glad that this photo and the mission we're doing, we went to inspect the sites as well, is all happening. And I just want to say that how to move on. After today, we can still talk with many preparation. But I'm so glad that the timeline is there. It's 26 December 2025, not 26, not 27, but 2025. And it will be the essential date that we will all drive towards that date. And I hope very much that the foundation, the government, and the architect can move this along, and we will really appreciate Louise's Hold Me Close. Thank you.
Thank you, ค่ะ อาจารย์อภินันท์ I think this is quite a truly remarkable moment when we sit here and, trying to put all the efforts together of all the parties that are involved to really make this happen, because I think it's really phenomenon to have Louise Bourgeois Hold Me Close Please in Thailand as a gift to the Thai people. And also, I think we never had an art project that really this much powerful that it transcends the idea of just art for the art's sake, but it's really impactful in terms of it helps us enduring the difficult time together, and it's really meaningful to have it in the site where the catastrophe happened. And I'm sure everybody has been longing, to see the work again after all this absence. So move to Kun Gulapat. I think you have quite a difficult task here. Of course, that there's a lot of concerns and consideration that you have to take on for this new phase of the design. What is your thoughts about this as you take on the new assignment?
Well, thank you very much. Obviously, it is to honor the artist's legacy and message. It's just such a priceless opportunity to have the work, not only by amazing artists, but the intention that the artist has given to Thailand. That is a very generous gift that we cannot ignore. And of course, on top of that, the priceless quality of the artwork in the legacy of the work it is. I mean, we Thai people are so lucky to have that artistic blessing that I think, Hold Me Close is holding us together right here. We're coming here as a group to be able to celebrate that, which allowed me to think quite a bit about the concept of memorial and monumentality. I mean, it used to be that monument is an object. But in reality, especially in Asia, the concept of monumentality is about continuity. It's about living on. It's about memories. So such a place, which is an amazing sanctuary, can it be a place that also spawn new memories, new ideas, new creativity that come from that? That's a conversation we have had before. And of course, having visited the site with this group, we were inspired by such a generous place. You look at the work and you look at the ocean, and you can't help thinking about the lives and the loss we have had. So in my job, is to really, the balance of many things, from really stay true and honoring the artist's legacy, just like what Philip mentioned. The site is the memorial, not just the object. So how everything come together is very meaningful. We talked a lot about accessibility. How do we get people to access the work so they have a one-to-one relationship with the artwork? But how you also create a sense of protection and security for this very fragile piece of artwork, which is not to mention the priceless quality of the collection. So all of these are something that I've been thinking a lot about, how to create a sense of invisibility of protection. We don't want security guards standing there. We don't want people to feel like they're being watched. But how to create a sense of openness and accessibility. That's something that's going on. And one thing that we also talked about, which, one thing that I would like to also pose to the group is like, yes, we have a sense of a sanctuary, but we also want to be a place that people want to come and really spend time, meditate, think about their own life. And so we want a place of gathering as much as of memory. So how do we create practical reason for people to want to be there? Not only just local people, but tourists and many others, that allow this to be a sense of, hold us close together in the memory of her work. So within that, I've been thinking a lot about that, and I think that this work will continue to live on its own. And everyone here, I think, including the community in Krabi, will be a big part of how to make it happen. And it is my job to finish it on time. So I will take on that challenge and with support from everyone. So thank you.
Thank you, Khun Gulapat. Oftentimes that the place for contemplation and the place as a tourist attraction doesn't really go along. I don't know what that has been kind of like producing a huge challenge to everybody's involved in make it happen. For the designer and also for the Eastern Foundation as well.
Maybe if I can take a stab at these, right? When you look at every spiritual, religious places, there's a, not to this, because of course this is not religious, but the sense of spiritual. There's always an aspect of the sacred and the profane. Right? The reason why you have the agora in front of a temple is people gather. There's a sense of the inner sanctum, the specialness of the spirit. I think that needs to be maintained to the quality of the artistic statement. But it doesn't mean that outside or surround, we were there on the side. There are people hanging out there, of course, with Thailand. We have street food, people hanging out by the beach and others. Those are also a part of our community, how we blend it together by not diluting the quality of the experience of the artwork, but also not ignoring people that come for other reasons as well. So we will think long and hard as a group about how we define these and let everything coexist.
Yes, Philip, you have anything to add on that?
I think it's, Louise liked it when she had her sculpture or her works in public spaces for people to really interact with it. She didn't want it to be, keep at a distance and respect the artwork in this sort of a venerating way. I mean, her large spider mama is now installed in Khao Yai Art Forest. And we've been delighted to see some of the images. We're going on Friday, we haven't seen it there yet. But we've been delighted by some of the images we've seen circulating of monks performing a procession by this. And Louise would have loved that kind of thing. Louise didn't want her art to be completely cut off from real life. She wanted it to be embedded in it on one level. And so I think that, that idea, we still want to create an experience that's true to Louise's intentions. But I don't see that there's a problem or a contradiction with having it in a location that has a high tourist footprint.
Okay. Jerry, do you have anything to add on that? Or?
Well, I sort of agreeing, what Gulapat and Philip said. I mean, I think, Louise wanted people. It's all about people. Art is about communicating. It's about people having the experience, standing in front of an object and being moved intellectually, emotionally. And I think that's the key thing that we need to establish, that that the environment is adding to the sculpture and it's part of the sculpture. It can't be separated. In a way, the experience, in the end, art is about having an experience that moves you. Okay.
อาจารย์อภินันท์ I think the management part is one of the most challenging aspect of the project. It is really heartfelt to see, everybody is now joining hands in, trying to make it happen. But I think, to have works in the public space is always a challenge in Thailand, especially in this certain climates that, we have already experienced with the old structures and also about the operation part of it. So has there been any discussion on that, in the long term?
Well, I think we learn from experience. We had to consider the environmental aspects, but we didn't realize at the time that the material would react so fast with the seawater, meaning the redwood that was made. So we have to learn from that, and we have to protect, like the title of the work. And I think it has to be a policy, and I thank this government because, ironically, this project started during Dr. Thaksin's beginning, but now, we waited. We waited for this to be reconsidered again. So the policy has to be made that it's got to be continuous. For example, if we are afraid of budget, it has to be made that the annual fiscal year budget of Krabi, you must have budget to look after this amazing piece. And like you said, it's one and only public work in Southeast Asia or East Asia of Louise Bourgeois. And it's got to be like a pilgrimage for people to come. You can call it cultural tourism, but make it pilgrimage, where you come and her work fits so well with the theme of Bangkok Art Biennale this time. It's Nurture Gaia. Louise is a Gaia. She's looking at us. So in this way, I think her work can remind us about how delicate, how fragile we are as human beings around the environment. So in this way, people of Krabi, we mentioned people of Krabi, they're the ones who have to really protect and make it alive and look after the piece. So the longevity of the work will be something that Phuket won't have, Phang Nga won't have, Songkhla won't have, but Krabi. So in this way, the people should be very proud of this project. Yeah.
Yes, I think we still have time, until the project will be realized to really communicate with the locals and any authorities or any parties that will be involved with the projects. Will there be any process of working on that along with other parties in the locality or the government agency?
Well, I think with Dr. Surapong's mission with the task force that will happen, I think the government will be the main core to give message to the governor who is very receptive when we met him, and to make the community understand the importance and the significance of this project, and not the idea that the work can be placed in museum or remove the work to other places. Not the idea that it can be reproduction or replicas. So it's going to be the originality of the work in the place where it's designed or redesigned and allotted. So this, I think, will be the initiation from the main government to the local government, and spread the word to the people of Krabi. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Yes,
I think
please.
we would be very happy if the people of Krabi felt a sense of ownership about this project, that this isn't something that's been airlifted in from outside and installed here and then tourist guides. We want it to become part of the community. And in a sense, Kulapat had a very good idea that there should be an annual program of artists or events linked to the memorial, so that it becomes almost like a living thing. That way that its life isn't just rooted in a moment looking back at the disaster, but it has an ongoing life as well. And that can be artists coming and responding to the piece. It could be performances, it could be music, it could be poetry readings, it could be any number of things. But I think that's really important to make sure that it remains, that it stays relevant and live in the community.
Thanks, Philip. I think the engagement is really important from the public and the locality. Yes, so maybe some public program has to be kind of like laid out by the organizing party. Yes, so Kun Kulapat, have you already have some ideas in mind what the design will be like?
Yes, many, yes. I think, again, starting from the artist's mission, right? What is that sense of generosity and the sense of hold me close? I think that needs to be alive and visible and feltable to everyone. But then I also think a lot of what Philip just mentioned. In order for it to be a living memorial, who is maintaining it, who is supporting it, who owns it, right? The memory owns to the people of Krabi as well. Many lost their lives and their family. So how can those people be involved in this process as well? And what kind of plays allow them to reflect and even recreate new memories? I think the idea of, again, layering different activity to it, my own main concern is how, it's like planting a tree, right? Everything is an ecology. So if you plant this memorial in the land of Krabi, to think that, like what Philip mentioned, the communities locally, whether it's who live there or who travel there, see it as their role to nurture this memorial, this living program. So it's not something that perhaps a central organization just going to dictate, this is what we should do. I think we want to really build something that we have response from the local communities that say, we want to use this for this reason, we want this for this reason. And so that induction is very important for the architecture and for the art experience to start to ignite in the people locally, which I think the design need to at least allow for that possibility to happen.
Thank you.